What psychological life hacks do you use to gain an advantage? When a group of people laughs, each person instinctively looks at the one they feel the most sympathy for. So, if you want to find out who someone desires to sleep with, pay attention to who they look at when they laugh along with the crowd. If you ask someone a question and they only answer it partially, just wait. If you stay silent and keep looking at that person, they will likely continue talking. My boss does this all the time. Once, I was apologizing to him for being late, and it was tough. I said, "I'm sorry for being late, there was an accident on the road." Silence. A terrible traffic jam formed. Silence. Also, I overslept. Silence. I'll stay late at work today to make up for it. My boss said, "See how I got you to spill everything?" If you are genuinely happy and excited to see other people, they will respond in kind. It might not happen the first time you meet, but it definitely will the second time. When you hear your alarm clock, get up immediately, clench your fists, and shout, "Yes." I always do this, and I recommend you try it too. I learned about this psychological trick on a forum a few years ago. This technique is useful for anyone working in customer service, though it can help in other situations too. Hang a mirror behind you, directly facing the client. If an angry client comes to argue, they will see themselves in the mirror, and as a result, the likelihood of aggression from their side will significantly decrease because no one likes seeing themselves in that state. This is one reason why many bars have huge mirrors behind the counter. The main reason is so the bartender can see who's sitting where and if new customers have arrived, but there are other reasons too. If you work behind a bar counter and a client approaches to complain or act aggressively, take a deep breath and step aside slightly, leaning on the counter with just one hand. Tilt your head a bit, quickly breaking eye contact with the client. They will be forced to look at their reflection. Even if you don't tilt your head fast enough, the client will still notice their familiar face in the reflection thanks to peripheral vision. Additionally, leaning on the counter puts you in a more advantageous position for several reasons. This trick won't work only on extremely arrogant jerks. Chew gum in situations when you feel nervous about something you're about to do, whether it's public speaking or bungee jumping. I don't remember where I heard this, but I know for sure that when we eat, one of our brain's function shuts down because we wouldn't eat if something were threatening us. So, if I'm eating, it means nothing is threatening me. I've calmed myself down with this method several times. Pay attention to people's feet. If you approach two people talking to each other and they only turn their torsos towards you while their feet remain still, it means they don't actually want you to join their conversation. Similarly, if you're talking to a colleague and think they're listening attentively, but their torso is facing you while their toes point elsewhere, it means your colleague wants to end the conversation quickly. You should read Carol Kinsey Goldman's book on analyzing people's behavior at work. People are more likely to agree to do what you ask if you first ask them to do something simpler. When meeting someone, try to notice the color of their eyes while smiling at them. This will make you hold their gaze for a second or two longer, and your new acquaintance will reciprocate. The physical symptoms of stress, rapid breathing, increased heart rate, and so on, are the same as the physical symptoms of courage. So, if you're stressed about something, immediately reframe it. Convince yourself that your body is preparing to do something brave, and there's no stress at all. I advise everyone to set their emotional state in advance before interviews. Tell yourself, "I've known these people my whole life, they're my old friends I haven't seen in ages. I can't wait to meet them." Visualize the moment of the meeting, handshakes, eye contact, your conversation about what you're eager to tell them. Your posture should be open, stand with your feet apart, hands on your hips, shoulders back, and a smile on your face. This may not be a new idea, but you are responsible for your emotional state, and the power of self-suggestion is immense. When someone goes through a breakup, they are in their most vulnerable state and can be easily manipulated due to the flood of emotions. This can be used for good or bad intentions. Inducing a state of artificial excitement in someone. When you invite someone on a first date, arrange it in an unusual place to get their heart racing, like a roller coaster or a horror movie. This increases adrenaline levels, making the person think it's because they enjoy being with you, not because of what actually caused their heart to race. In sales, though I believe this can be applied in other areas too, once you've said everything you're supposed to, don't say anything more. My boss at my previous job, where I sold gym memberships, taught me this. He said, as soon as you've explained everything about the product and the prices, the first one to speak loses. It seems like a simple life hack, but it works wonders. There were often long, awkward pauses while the customer tried to come up with a reason not to buy, but usually, they agreed. I'm thrilled with this method. Also, many people love talking about themselves, so ask them lots of questions about themselves. Be honest always, and if you have to lie, people will believe you more easily. I heard something similar: it's easier to spot liars because you know they can't be trusted. It's harder with honest people because you never know when they're lying. When I worked in retail, I often couldn't hold back and was rude to customers. Then I realized I was too easily provoked and decided to stay as polite as possible, even when they were openly hostile. Some of them got even angrier because of my behavior, and I used that to my advantage. If you're at a meeting and suspect someone is about to speak out against you, just sit next to them. People often hope the crowd will protect them, but if you're sitting right next to them, the issue becomes too personal, and they may abandon their initial intentions or at least soften their stance. Source: I worked in a snake pit for many years. I remember the last time this topic was brought up here, someone wrote that if you ask someone for a small favor, they'll start thinking that because they helped you, it means they like you. It's a kind of cognitive dissonance after all. Would they help you if they didn't feel any sympathy? Your emotions and thoughts are under your control. Try changing some of your initial reactions. Tell yourself you're happy or excited about something, and eventually, your brain will start believing it. This also works with negative emotions. That's why you should never try to self-diagnose. If you think you have depression or are upset about something, you'll end up feeling even worse and might actually fall into depression. If you start using this life hack, you won't notice results right away, but after a few months, your character will change for the better. This seems like one of the best tricks I've been taught. If your hand is warm when you shake someone's hand, you automatically become more likable to them. Stand up straight, stop slouching, take your hands out of your pockets, and hold your chin up high. It sounds cliché, but you'll actually feel better and more confident. This isn't always applicable, but try to dress better for important events, including interviews. If you look good, you'll feel good, and if you feel good, you're bound to succeed. During negotiations, always start with extremes, that is, begin with the maximum you're aiming for. This way, both you and the other party can negotiate, and you'll have leverage. Try not to use phrases like "I think" or "I believe" unless absolutely necessary. These phrases don't inspire confidence and won't do you any favors. When playing cards with someone, mutter under your breath something opposite to what you want. For example, if you want your opponent to fold, mutter, "Please don't fold, please don't fold." Almost always, players fall for it. If you feel anxious, clean your house or apartment. You'll feel happier and more useful than before. From a scientific perspective, these are psychological tricks for beginners, but in real life, they're very helpful. All these tricks have greatly helped me in work and life. If you smile as widely as you can, you'll automatically feel happier. Call center employees, always smile. Your smile will carry over to the person you're talking to on the phone, and far fewer people will act like jerks toward you. Try to say your acquaintances' names more often in their presence. People love hearing their names, which helps build trust and makes it easier to become friends. Suppose your friend introduces you to someone named Peter. 5 minutes later, Peter decides to leave. Don't just say, "See you." Say, "See you, Peter." Train yourself to never use filler words like, or you know. Instead, take brief pauses to gather your thoughts before speaking, but don't think too long. When you use filler words, your interlocutor will notice you're thinking about what to say. If you eliminate them, those moments of reflection become less noticeable, and you appear more confident. I work with children with intellectual disabilities and find it necessary to talk about their strengths, only indirectly addressing their limitations. In other words, avoid negative expressions. When you need to convey something unpleasant to an audience you want to impress, it's better to do so in writing, as it gives you time to carefully think through what you want to say. Also, focus on how you propose to fix the situation rather than the problems themselves. For example, Johnny can't even string words into a sentence. He just turns his head when he hears his name but avoids eye contact. He can't sit still for more than a minute, and we have to constantly correct him. That won't do. Try again. Johnny doesn't know all the words yet, and our next goal is to strengthen his communication skills by teaching him two-word phrases. He responds to his name by turning his head, and we'll work on getting him to make eye contact with the person he's speaking to. Johnny can stay seated for over a minute if reminded. Which of these would you prefer to hear if it's about your child? This method applies to any professional field. Use it carefully, avoiding negative points. It works like a charm. This has been mentioned before, but I'll remind you, if you want to stare at someone without feeling awkward, scan them with your eyes, then wait until they try to catch your gaze. When they fail to do so, their eyes will dart around to nearby objects. This usually lasts a second, and for some time, they won't even look in your direction. This way, you can stare at someone for at least 45 seconds in any situation. Don't forget to breathe unless you're underwater. If you want someone to do something for you, frame it as a suggestion, not a demand. When Teddy Roosevelt was running for president, his campaign printed 3 million leaflets with a picture of a teddy bear and the text of his campaign speech. Then they realized they didn't have the rights to use that image. Instead of explaining everything to the photographer, who would have felt important and demanded a lot of money, Roosevelt's team offered to pay him $250 to use his photo, making it seem like they were doing him a favor. The photographer paid them. This may sound silly, but when you ask for something, use the phrase because. I once read about a study at a university that tested which words help you cut in line at a copier. They tried all sorts of words and phrases, and it turned out that the word because creates a kind of short circuit in people's brains. They start believing there's a reason for your request, even if you say something silly like, "Please let me go first because I urgently need to make copies." Be sure to subscribe to our channel so you don't miss new, super interesting discussions. In the meantime, check out our other videos.